Okay. Hello again, Julie and Sean. Really good to see you again.
And you, Stephen.
Okay,
Nice to see you.
just a bit just for the benefit of the listeners, this is part two of kind of a series of podcasts. The first podcast you can find on Buzzsprout, Recovery Devon's Buzzsprout, Spotify or YouTube. And we talk a little bit about Julie and Sean's journeys into setting up the cafes. We talk about what happens in a typical cafe and some of the success stories you've had. And so this podcast is going to be more exploring about the actual techniques in more detail that you teach in the class. Because yeah, we didn't have quite enough time for that on the first podcast. So I think that maybe do you want to take it in turns to tell us about one technique each from the Pain
Yeah.
Cafe? So okay, so Sean, we want to go first. So Sean, please tell the audience about one particular technique that you teach, practice in
So,
Pain Cafe.
my biggest technique that I use is distraction. Um, for instance, I had a bit of a flare up because even though I'm now 7 years completely medication free, I still have flare ups. I manage my pain without the medication, but I still have flare ups. So a few months ago, I had flare up, and what I did was I took out my pencils and my sketch pad and drew a Spitfire.
Mm.
For like 2.5 hours, I didn't think about my pain, and I was able to get through that particular flare up. Other ways of doing it are going. Another one that I've had recently. I went down to Port Wrinkle and sat on the banjo type thing, or the wall, the harbour wall, and I breathe, and I coincide my breathing with the waves lashing on the shore. So when the waves come in, I breathe in. When the waves go out, I breathe out. And then I've got through that particular flare up. And the reason why I don't my flare ups aren't quite so bad is
Mm.
because I know that I can cope with those flare ups. Before I used to panic
Yep.
when I felt one coming on. And of course that tenses up the body, and then you get all stressed up, and stresses can turn the volume of that pain up, so it's
Mm.
worse. So now I know I can cope because I have that toolkit of things
Mm.
that I can do to cope with that flare up without medication. I don't get such bad flare ups.
Okay, that's very interesting. So the first technique, enjoying Spitfire, that was 2.5 hours. When you were
Yep.
sitting there with the waves doing the breathing, how long was that process roughly? Or
Probably I didn't need to be there as long as I did, but
oh
I
right.
get into the zone, and I can just stare out to sea. I love being near the sea,
Mm.
or on the sea. So I was probably there for about an hour, but probably didn't need that long. Probably half an hour, maybe an hour would have been the maximum that I would need for a flare up, because it that calms me down a lot more than the sketching. The sketching is a distraction,
Right.
but still concentrate on the drawing. But I just love being by the sea. So once you put the pencil down, it's gone.
Mm.
But being by the
Yeah.
sea, you've still got the being outdoors, being by the sea where I love to be, and the smells and the
Mm.
sounds and the wind. Yeah, which
Yeah.
coincides with other techniques as well. But Julie might talk about those.
Okay. So that's the main two. Do you ever like go out to the woods or anything like that, or is it
Yeah,
mostly the sea?
yeah,
Or
yeah. But walking, which I never used to be able to do because part of my problem is that I had a hernia operation, obviously in the groin, and for the 25 years that I was on the high dose medication, movement wasn't an option because it hurt too much.
mm,
In fact, the pain medication was giving me more pain than taking it away.
sure.
That's a different technique or a different reason again, because we all need pain to actually stop us sticking our finger in the fire.
Yeah.
So when you're taking all that medication, your body thinks, hang on a minute, he might stick his finger in the fire because he's trying to
Yeah.
null that pain.
Mm.
So your body starts making more pain receptors. So hence the reason why the doses have to be increased. So
Yeah.
when I went from 160 milligrams down to 80 milligrams, I was in less pain. So the pain medication was actually giving me more pain. It was
Okay.
increasing my pain. So
Okay.
yeah,
Sure.
being outdoors in nature is one of the best things you can do to take your mind away. But then you come into the realms of mindfulness, which we also use a lot of. But say Julie might want to talk about mindfulness.
Okay, for sure. Okay. Yeah, Julie, do you want to talk about mindfulness then?
Yeah, so for me, so mindfulness is kind of one of those big buzzwords, isn't it? It's very, very trendy right now, but it's really just about anything that helps you kind of lift your mood, take your mind out of the kind of stress you're in at the time or the pain that you're in, and almost kind of take you somewhere else and make you a little bit more self-aware. So I really, really love to do yoga. I love to go swimming, and both of those things, kind of just doing the exercise, I find when I'm in that moment, I'm not thinking about anything else other than counting my laps or, kind of focusing on my breathing with the yoga. And so I find that's one of the biggest helps. And one of the things we do in the Pain Cafe is we do have an instructor that comes in and does half an hour session with people within the group. So we've all started with seated yoga, and at the end we kind of have a nice little relaxation session just at the end as well, just to sort of bring it all together. And that has been really well received and has gone really well. And one of the new things we've started as well is we've got collaboration with the gym. And so people have been going and using toning tables and returning back into the gym, and they've absolutely loved it. And that's been really, really good to lift everyone's mood.
For sure.
Yeah.
That is brilliant. That's a really nice story. And would people be able to continue doing your exercises when they go home, or how would that work?
Yeah, so for the chair yoga, I mean, people can always kind of do that technique at home as well.
Yep.
We should post a video on our website or something just to give people at home something to follow along with. But there's so many really good sort of yoga videos and things out there. Yoga with Adrienne on YouTube, for example, is fantastic. So it's just, for me, some sort of exercise just really just lifts your mood. It's definitely one of my pain management techniques.
100%. And I guess you probably use a combination. Would you like to say yourself, Julie, maybe yoga and distraction? Some of the techniques you're saying, or
My yoga kind of is my distraction. I
yeah, for
do
sure. Yeah.
hobbies and things as well. And obviously running the cafes for me is a huge distraction because it takes up a large amount of my
Yeah.
time that
Oh,
I'm not thinking about pain or anything else. It's still there, but you just learn to manage it really.
yeah, for sure. So it's like giving yourself something really to concentrate on, something really positive to concentrate on, so you're not maybe worrying about the pain so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's having the confidence to think, actually, you know what, I've been through a flare up before. I know what to expect. I know what's coming, and I know I'll get through the other side. And part of that comes,
Yeah.
I think, with as well.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I was saying to Sean, I guess you don't have to do the distraction techniques so much now. I guess if you've kind of used them as before, I guess you have to use them less now.
Yeah, because the flare-ups aren't so intense to start with, and they are fewer and far between, and because using, as you quite rightly said, Stephen, the combination. So, although I'm using distraction, I'm also using mindfulness. I live my life mindfully now, so I don't actually sit down and do a mindful body scan or something like that, unless it's in the cafes, because that's how we start that off in the cafes, doing a body scan. So so I bought myself a jet ski the first time I could, to get back out on the water, and
Yeah.
I never think about the pain when I'm out on that, because not only is it a thrilling thing to do anyway, but also now it's even better that I use mindfulness, because the wind on my face is more exhilarating. Going at speed is exhilarating. Everything is emphasized. You mentioned going for walks in the woods, the rustling of the wind in the trees when it's a windy day, or the birds singing, or the water running down through the river. It's all amplified and gives you a bigger thrill.
Yeah. So just so say before you get like going on a jet ski, you kind of telling yourself, I'm really gonna feel this. Something like that, or with the mindfulness.
That's how it started off, but it
Yeah.
comes naturally now, because I've been doing
Yeah.
mindfulness and distraction and movement techniques for about 7 years. I've been completely medication free, so those techniques have been honed, then, if you like, over the years, and it just becomes part of my whole living now. So it's not unless I have a flare up. I don't think about my pain. So
Yeah.
I always describe it as like when I was on that medication, I was engulfed in this box of pain. I couldn't get out of that box. And then starting using the techniques and reducing my medication, I was able to lift the lid off and have a look outside. And eventually getting outside of that box and keep shrinking the box down a bit, carrying that around. So it was a bit clumsy. So I still was in quite a bit of pain, but I was able to do a few things. But now, over the 7 years, I've honed those techniques, and I can now shrink that little box down now and put it in my pocket, so it doesn't stop. The pain doesn't stop me from doing anything. I still have to pace. You can't overdo things,
Yeah.
because you're aggravating that pain side. Because my pain's never going to go away. It's just that I've managed to shrink it down to a
Yeah.
manageable level.
So within balance, like when you get skiing every day, so you get tired out, but now and again, you give yourself
Yeah. But I
yeah.
could go out all day on the
Oh,
jet
yeah,
ski,
yeah.
because you just stop and have a rest, and then start off again.
Yeah. And did you choose just going back to Spitfire? Did you choose that
Yeah.
because it's something you're passionate about, basically? So
Well, it's a funny thing you should say that, is that my son's father-in-law, his father used to fly Spitfires in the Second World War. So not only did it help me with my flare-up, but I was also able to gift it to John, Dom's father-in-law. So I made him happy as well, and
another
it
kind
was
of nice thing.
priceless.
It's kind of like a project you were doing. Yeah.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
designing it, just doing like a picture of it, or
Put in?
were you doing it on the computer or the on the
No,
hand?
it was a pencil and paper.
Oh, yes, that's
Uh,
like that.
Yeah, but it's something I love to do anyway.
Yeah.
I used to like to draw anyway, but yeah, it took my mind off that flare up, and as I say, I was able to gift it and make somebody else happy, which is a feel good thing in its own right.
Sounds really, really good. Is there anything else you'd like to share about what you teach on in the cafes?
So I think for me, probably the biggest lesson to learn, and it was the hardest one and took the longest amount of time, is something called acceptance. So it's sort of say to someone, I can't take your pain away. I can find a way to live with it. It's a really, really kind of hard statement to make. And I think for me,
Yeah.
time of I kind of battled for a really long time because I didn't want to be in pain at all. I wanted some sort of solution, someone to come and take it away from me so I could go back to my old life. Um, and I really had to kind of grieve and let that old life go in a way before I could start living my new one. And that's kind
Sure.
of part of it. So it's a similar way to grieving for someone who's passed away, for example.
Yeah.
And so I did really struggle with that. I can't say that we talk about it in the cafes, and people do discuss, what ways people's lives have changed.
Mm.
Try and give people hope for a way forward of saying, yes, you still do have pain, but there is still a lot of things that you can do. It's just going to be perhaps in a different way. So, I can't go back to doing other things that I used to do, but I love the things that I do now, probably more because things have been taken away from me and I appreciate
Yeah.
them far.
Okay. And how would you actually kind of promote that in a cafe? If people are really struggling, how would you actually encourage people to just basically, is it verbally just try and tell them
Yeah,
to focus on it?
so it is our own story. It's that's part of what we do because we have that lived experience. We have empathy for the people that
Mm.
are coming to the cafes. So we
Mm.
can the only thing we can do is express to them how we now are, and I know it's a small word of hope, but it's a big meaning. It's uh, a big help to the participants. And the thing is that you've also got a group of maybe up to 13 other people who are in the same predicament as they are. So it's their shared stories as well as our own stories. And we can go into a cafe and have um, a a process of what we're going to talk about that particular day. But if somebody brings a subject up, one of the participants, then we'll help them with that, and then it takes over the whole session. So it's like a group help self-help group help session.
I see. Is there, I know it's different for everybody, but if you can practice it first, say, like, um, So I'm in really bad pain. I come to the cafe. How long will it take for me to sort of gain that acceptance? For a few months, or I know it's not one size. It's not the same for everybody.
No, exactly. No, exactly. Not everybody's different. You can't really put a time scale on that. I mean,
Yeah.
mine's taken me 7 years to get where I am now, but I
Yes.
can honestly say probably once I'd actually got rid of all the medication, um, but it's very gradual. You know, it's not an instant fix.
I think
But it's perseverance is one of the main things.
Perseverance, and you can encourage that people come. I guess people come to the cafes on an ongoing basis. I'm assuming it probably is a really good support. Yeah. Sorry.
I think one thing the most is it takes a lot to walk in that door for the first time,
Mm,
because that not been a great place. It might have
yeah.
been a really big effort actually to leave the house that day, and just coming into a room full of people who have the same kinds of struggles as them, and they don't have to justify themselves to anybody.
For sure.
They are accepted for being who they are, celebrated for being who they are, and it's almost like a weight kind of falls off their shoulders. And we're all there together. We're all learning new skills, so we try and get people in from outside to do things like aside from the yoga instructor, we've had people in to do sort of art type therapy, some creative crafting. So we're trying to get sort of different people in to kind of make that a bit more interesting and
Mm.
just give people, the chance to bond together really in the group.
Okay, Sean, would you like to tell us about some of the techniques or therapies in the class you use?
Yep. So we have a qualified sit-down Pilates teacher that comes in, does a 30-minute session. We also have a lady that comes in and does sound baths, which are really, really popular. And we need to use it more often, really. It was the ladies that this lady comes in and does this sound bath, and basically what it is, it's like crystal bowls. And you remember we used to be able to run your finger around a wine glass and it would make a noise, and that's what this is. Only it's more tuned, and she's got several of these little things and little tambourine type things and an inverted steel drum, and makes all this lovely music. And she also does a bit of Reiki, so you listen to this music, and unbeknown to me, because we all have our eyes shut, she was stood behind me and I didn't know, and I had this really warm feeling at the side of my head. And it wasn't until after the session that I found out that she had actually had a hand about 4-5 inches away from my head, which really blew my mind a little bit. But it was really comforting. Yeah, so that's what we do in the classes for exercise.
I really like, excuse me, the sound bar. I think that's a really interesting idea. And I'm just going to ask you: do you try? Well, you continue with the recording. Actually, I think it's easier like this. So, do you try some of the techniques at home, such as sound therapy or heat therapy? Or
I do use a lot of music in my life anyway. But yes, I have got some panpipe type music which does relax me. I don't do the yoga as much at home, but I do use resistance bands and exercise at home, which is another thing that we are introducing as well.
Right.
So I do a lot of yoga at home, just because I really love it. I go to swimming pool, but I don't have my own, I have to say. But I have tried doing some meditation. So although I find it really, really more helpful to have other people talking me through it, so sometimes I'll just use some kind of app on my phone to kind of do the meditation side of things, which is really good, particularly just before bed if you're a little bit stressed and can't sleep. It's just nice to have someone kind of talking you through a meditation. So that's been really, really useful for me. It's still something I'm learning, and I think meditation is one of those things that you just have to keep doing and keep doing and keep doing, and you get better at it, really.
Yeah. One thing that I'd say is that when I first got introduced to mindfulness, I thought it was hippy dippy stuff. But it's how I live my life now. I don't sit down and do like a body scan, which is what I was taught at the very beginning. My whole life is mindful now. Everything I do is mindful. If I go out into the woods, I can hear the birds singing louder. The wind on my face is more exhilarating, and the wind in the trees, it's more calming. I taste my food better because I think about it mindfully. I know it sounds crazy, but it really does work, and that's how one of the main things I use, along with distraction, to actually live with my pain and self-manage.
I think that's a really good idea. I still have hypnotherapy. I still do meditation after 7 years, and yeah, it still really helps me as well. Actually, I think it's a
Yeah.
great thing everyone can.
Great for mental health too. Yeah, yeah.
Can I go back a step because you were talking about listening to some kind of music? I didn't quite catch what you were in
Sorry,
the.
panpipe music like the Aztecs,
Oh, I like
or
the Aztecs.
yes, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
It's very, very calming. Medicine Woman is the album that I've got, which is amazing.
oh, Medicine Woman. Okay, so
Yeah,
is that available on the internet or anything? Or
yeah. I think you can get it from Amazon. Yes, I don't know who it's by. It's just called Medicine Woman.
mm,
It's just instrumental. I mean, there's panpipes, flutes, and all sorts.
But it's
But
whatever, music is one of those really great things. It just lifts your mood, doesn't it? And
mm.
there's all sorts of music to fit whatever mood you're in for the time. And I'm in a chorus, and I love singing. It's just so good. And life is just about getting out and what you enjoy. And in the cafes, we just help people to find that thing that just makes them happy and give
Yeah.
them a bit of confidence to go and do it.
yeah, so we're actually in a gym at the moment, which we've just
Oh, yeah.
finished a pain cafe. If I just moved the
Mm.
camera up a bit, and they got all of these toning tables.
Oh, okay. That was very interesting. You got your stand and
Yeah,
everything. Yeah.
yeah, and
This is the Unit 8 gym near Ivy Bridge. I'm sure they won't mind me giving them a shout.
yeah, and
No,
it
absolutely not.
basically these machines, they're exactly the same as the big man gym downstairs,
Mm,
where you've got all the loose weights and stuff,
mm,
but they're electronically, mechanically aided too. So you can actually have nobody sat down. You press a button and it will go through the motions of like pet machines, for your pets, and
mm.
leg exercises and everything. And you can actually put as much or as little as you can or want to put into it, but you're still moving because you hold on to the bars, but it will do the
Mm.
motion for you.
Oh, that's really
Amazing
interesting.
place.
So you just
Yeah.
literally had the class at that location just now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
All this.
and we
Oh,
just hopefully we're securing it for it to be once every 2 weeks rather than once a month.
okay.
But that's to be confirmed.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. That's really nice. I mean, yeah. I mean, would you put videos up about this on your
Yeah, yeah,
website?
yeah.
Because
We get yeah,
I wouldn't ask you to do now because it would get a bit messy, but I'd love to see a video of people using these machines.
yeah. I've got a little clip of some of our ladies using it when we did our first session. So I'll send it to Julie, and Julie can pass it on to you.
Yeah, maybe we can put the link in when we post
Yeah,
this podcast up. And
absolutely.
I think we've been speaking about medication already. So I think were you saying, Julie, about an app you were using, specific app last time?
Yeah, so I've got all different kinds of apps. I was just scrolling through my phone quickly. So I use one called Balance. That's a really, really good one. I think a lot of these you can get kind of on a free trial and that kind of thing. One called Visible, which is quite good at tracking your own health. One called Mind Shine, which is really good for all different kind of meditations. And a new one that we've been trying out for someone as well called Pained, Paind, which was actually written by a physio. And that is fantastic because it gives people little video clips and talks you through all kinds of different topics around pain management. And it's tailored to the person because it asks you questions when you start off. So yeah, that's a really, really good one for people.
Okay, yeah, I might actually have a look at some of these myself because even though I do lots of well-being practice, lots of well-being anyway, I think you can still add to it, can't you?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, you can always learn more.
Any resources are good resources.
100%. Okay, and I think we were talking about, just for the benefit of the listeners, we're recording some of the podcasts because of some sound trouble as earlier. But yeah, I think we were talking about sleep habits, weren't we? And Julie, did you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so I mean I'm getting better at it, but like all of us, we still have the odd sleepless nights, but a lot of it comes down to really good sleep hygiene anyway. So making sure your phone is away in the evening, before you want to go to bed, making sure that you're tired enough. So for me, I might exercise in the evening. I might go out to swimming pool or something like that. It's about being in a relaxed state of mind when you go to bed. So that's when something like you might use a little meditation app as well. Make sure your room is nice and cool. So for good night's sleep, you feel so much better the next day. It helps you cope with your pain a lot better.
My sleep, my sleep pattern changed from having 2 hours sleep to using mindfulness. I can literally see in my head a video of me being down on the beach at Constantine. When the waves come in, I breathe in. When the waves go out, I breathe out. And then the alarm's going off at 7 o'clock in the morning. It's incredible. And that's all I do.
Well, that is incredible, the difference well-being can make, isn't it? I'm really happy for that. I'm really happy for you guys, because I had trouble. I didn't have the chronic pain, but I think I said in the first podcast, I often have 3 hours of sleep a night, and it was just terrible quality sleep. And now I play calming music.
I mean, I'm a lot better. I have had times when pain might wake me up during the night, but I would just get up, find something that's not too kind of taxing. So something like a jigsaw puzzle or something you don't have to think too much to do, just enough to kind of wear you out and then take yourself back off to bed again.
Because I think you were saying that it can become habitual if you try and go to sleep and then you can't go to sleep. That'll happen every night, so you've got to go up and do something else. And
it's been breaking that cycle of, instead of lying there, I think for me, I'll get to about 20-30 minutes. I'm not asleep. I might as well just get up and go and do something, and then just come back to it later on, because you just learn to lie there in bed and associate bed with being awake, which is counterproductive.
Yeah, that's what actually my hypnotherapist said to me quite early on. Similar things. That's why I was quite interested in that, because break the patterns, and that's really good.
Yeah.
I think we were talking about what else you'd like to share, and Sean, were you saying about the NHS mantra in the previous?
Yes, sorry. So the NHS mantra is biopsychosocial. So medication, psychotherapy, and social. We've flipped that, so we are now social psychobio. Because once you get that social bit right, bringing people together in a community, you're already starting to work on the mental health issues that they have. And it's bringing them together. We sat here today after the gym session with the thought of talking about acceptance, and we just chatted about nothing, didn't we?
Well, it wasn't about nothing.
Yeah,
but
we
had such a nice time,
bonding
and talking about things, and they all just left really happy.
Yeah, so, and it was a great session, absolutely great session. No, what I meant to say when I say talk about nothing, it wasn't an awful lot to do with pain. It was to talk, just general chit chat.
So you were saying you kind of moved on, doing your own kind of thing rather than following the NHS specifically, or?
Yeah, it's just basically we flipped the mantra. So there's biopsychosocial, ours is social bio psycho.
Gotcha.
I know.
Yeah.
So
the social side to us is every bit as important, if not more so, than the other bits that go alongside it.
So once you've got that social bit right, you start working on the psycho, and then hopefully you don't need so much of the bio, which is the medication side of it.
I think I can. I'll probably need to replay this, but I think I can get in it now. Yeah, you just sort of like transferred. Yeah, put the social, emphasize the social bit.
Absolutely.
Spin it on its head.
Yeah.
So you kind of took a kind of, if you like, platform that was there, but changed it around to your own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, that's really good. I think we've covered everything actually. Yeah. Do you have a final word to say, maybe, to somebody, who's maybe in chronic pain and thinking about going to the cafe, or would you like closing?
I would just say you've probably tried everything else at this point. You might have tried medication, maybe surgery, or hospital appointments, or GP appointments, or physio, or a great big long list of things. You've got absolutely nothing to lose by trying, and we will be here to support you, because we've all been there.
Yeah, we got that empathy because we live with pain too, which is, a GP can help as much as they possibly can because they have the knowledge
but we have the experience of lived experience.
100%. Okay, I just want to say thank you very, very much for doing the podcast, and we'll put the link to the first podcast out as well. And yeah, it's been a pleasure. I'm just going to stop the recording, but we can continue speaking. So yeah, thank you very much.
If you ever want to come along to one of the cafes yourself to see what we do, please do.
I'd like to do that. And is anywhere any news on Exeter at all, or is it still a little bit further along? I know you're probably so busy. I know.
Yeah, no, I really do want to do it. I need to find a venue first. I've got a couple of contacts, so hopefully I can start making it happen soon.